Okay, guys, we are live, and this is going to be an exceptionally good show. This is going to be a delicious supper. This is your supper without the food. This is beautiful. Mind supper, this is. We've got legends, 3 legends. Co-host, he's just signed his contract for another year. Keith Hanley at Ethan Ryan on Twitter. Are you looking forward to the new season, Keito? You getting ready to rock?
I'm looking forward to you getting the use of my services on pro bono for free again this year. So there's no money in the pot. There's nothing in the pot whatsoever. So I'm doing it for free again this year. But listen, I'm looking forward to it. So,
Absolutely. It's all about charity, my friend.
It is. It does begin at home, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We have another legend. He is very used to coming onto this show. He's becoming part of the furniture. Jack Mack LFC. Jackie boy, are you looking forward to it? Surely you are.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, Dave. It's probably better than when I did come on your show, Dave. Thank you for coming on the show. But appreciate you letting me come on. And it's great to speak to everyone. And a fantastic panel, as always, tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It's great to have you. And last but not least, the legend, the man from France that speaks 14 languages. It's Owen from the Cop On podcast. Owen, welcome.
Ni hao. Thanks for inviting me on. Absolutely pleasure to be here.
Absolutely brilliant. It's great having you. This is going to be a delicious show already. I swear to God, I'm full up. I just have a little Ribena Milner juice here. The boys are drinking water. Keith's on the beer. It's going to be beautiful.
I'm not on the beer. I'm just having one.
Oh, one. Okay. Okay, it's not on the beer.
It's constituting on the beer. It's literally just a sup. I
thought that was product placement. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to get stuck in to the Premier League, which starts this Friday night. 21-22 season. I absolutely can't wait, guys. I know you can't wait. Everybody in the chat can't wait. It's going to be beautiful. LFC's train has left the station. We're ready to rock. Where will it lead? That's the question. We're going to go through the games. Just skip over them a little bit. See what we think of the predictions. Get your predictions in there in the comments, guys, as well. Jade, Jackster, Eamon, Kelly. Mickey Friars. How are you, Mickey? Hopefully you're well. Kicks off Friday night, boys. It's Brentford, newly promoted Brentford against Arsenal. Keith, we come to you first. What do you think, Brentford-Arsenal? I actually think this is a tough game for Arsenal. I don't know what to expect from Arsenal. I think Brentford will beat them.
I suppose it's always a little bit of a kick, don't you, from newly promoted sides around the first and 2 games. And they kind of play a little bit, I suppose, off the cuff. So listen, you're probably expecting an exciting game. I'm expecting goals, to be honest with you. Whether they've got enough to really trouble. I expect Arsenal to be a little bit more difficult to beat now with a good pre-season under their belt. And this year I expect them to have pushed on from where they were last year. So I expect it to be a good game, to be honest with you. Probably a good flowing end-to-end game. Plenty of chances both sides. I still think Arsenal should come out on top, to be honest with you. But it's probably it's a good curtain raiser for the new season, I think.
Exactly. I'd say it'd be an exciting game. I'd say there'd be goals. There'd be goals in this. What do you think, Owen? Goals galore or a dull 0-0?
Well, Arteta would love a 0-0 probably because he's pretty negative, isn't he? He's a bit of a negative Nelly, as they say. But I think Brentford, they've got more pizzazz, more panache. And Ivan Toney, 31 goals in the Championship last season. I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? 24 years old or something. I think he'd be marvellous in the red of Liverpool, to be honest. Just from looking at his stats, because I've seen him play a grand total of 1 match in which he was indeed impressive. But he seems to run about a lot as well. Great attitude on him. Brentford could cause what would be a shock to some, but I think Arsenal. Yeah, I think they'll probably bore Brentford into conceding a goal or 2 and maybe 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Okay, that's interesting. Jackie boy, do you want to skim over the Brentford-Arsenal? What do you think? Arsenal to win, draw, lose?
Arsenal to get beat, mate. So I watched a couple of Brentford last season and Ivan Toney. I think he's going to I put him in my fantasy football. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season. One of the underdogs for this season, I think. I think he will be guaranteed a big move, especially if Brentford do somehow survive or stay in the Premier League or get relegated. There'll be a whole host of Premier League clubs after them. I wouldn't mind Liverpool putting a bid in at the right price because I think he's a very natural goal scoring finisher really in front of goal. 30 odd goals in the Championship. So yeah, it's exciting. And Arsenal being Arsenal every single season. It's Ramsdale, 35 million. If you stick him in goal, they'll probably get relegated. So
yeah, you're getting relegated with Ramsdale in goal, aren't you? Pretty much.
Yeah.
How many goals did Tony score from the penalty spot last season? Anytime I seem to see him scoring, it seemed to be a penalty. He must have got.
Yeah, it was a couple. Yeah.
Statman Owen is on it already. Statman Owen is ready to go.
Yeah, I reckon they'll get beat, mate. Classic Arsenal. But I think it'd be interesting to see how they do approach the Prem, Dave and chat as well. I'm excited to see them.
Oh, big time! It's a nice game to open it up, isn't it? 9 goals.
I knew it was up there. I knew it was up there.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Well, that's quite good. He seems to be a danger man. I might sign him on the fantasy football as well. I wouldn't say he's too expensive. The next game is our old friends Manchester United on the lunchtime kickoff, the early kickoff on Saturday against Leeds. Now, this is an interesting game, guys. I still think United to win, to be fair, at home at Old Trafford. I think United will win it. They've done well. They've signed Sancho and they signed Varane. I don't think Varane is available for the weekend, if I'm correct. But I'd go for United win. What do you think, Keith? United Leeds?
I think it's a tough one, to be honest with you. I think it's a tough one. I think it's a tough one to call. We've got Rashford out for a couple of months, haven't we, with a shoulder injury. So they're probably looking at starting. I don't know. We're going to start Cavani up front with Greenwood and maybe Sancho in terms of a front three. What are they going to do in midfield? One or two. So I that could be a score draw for me, to be honest. Looking at it, feels very much like a score draw, but I think they're going to need some time. It really does depend on what they've been doing. I haven't been overly impressed with them in pre-season United, to be honest with you. So it feels like a score draw to me.
Okay.
Could be wishful thinking.
What?
Could be wishful thinking, of course, but it feels like a score draw.
I take a 1-1 now. Owen, what do you think? United against Leeds United at Old Trafford.
It's a really difficult one. I didn't realise that about Varane. I was
I think he's out, yeah.
Yeah, a quick Google. They haven't actually completed the transfer, according to leedslive.co.uk. They've agreed a deal, but there's been some kind of delay over his medical, and they are hoping to finalise it by next Wednesday. And this was published in the local Leeds website, but that was published on the 8th. So what are we now? 3 days ago. So, I mean, that's a huge thing. Leeds United, one player, if you're talking about fantasy football, Jack Harrison. No one talks about Jack Harrison. I think he's 23 or maybe even younger. And he came from Manchester City. They signed him on a permanent deal. And his stats for the last 10, 12 games in the Premier League were the best, up there with the best wingers in the Premier League. I mean, he had an absolutely storming end to the season. And I keep an eye on Leeds. Firstly, because one of my best mates is a huge Leeds fan, and he's absolutely made up that they're back in the big time. And secondly, because I love watching them. I love the craziness, the attack, the verve, the absolute passion they play with, the determination. It's almost like if any of us were football managers, and what would you love to see from your team week in, week out? You'd like to see style and verve and determination and grit, and they've got all of that. And it's wonderful to watch. So I think Leeds, with Varane out, I think I'm going to go 4-3 to Leeds United.
Woo! I like it, Jack. Let's go, baby.
It'll be a decent game to watch. Ideally, I'd love a Leeds 3-0 at Old Trafford. Anything's possible when you got that fridge centre back. So it's going to be an exciting game. I think that Varane transferring into Mark's employ, I think their third kid's getting announced anyway. So it's all part of the marketing team, especially when you got Ed Woodward as one of your executives signing all these players. That happens, unlike Michael Edwards. So, yeah, hoping for a Leeds win, but I think it'll be 2-1 United.
Yeah. I think United will be too good for them at home, especially with the fans. I seen someone in there earlier on. Obviously, I'd love them to lose, but I'm just being realistic. The next game at 3:00 kickoff, it's Leicester City, who of course won the FA Cup last year. Probably should have got top 4. Realistically, I think they slipped near the end against a Wolverhampton Wanderers who flattered to deceive last season. I think they're going to have a hard slog in mid-table. Leicester at home. What do you think, Keith? Leicester City Wolves?
Leicester for me all day long, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They're just going to pick up where they left off last season. So, to be honest with you, I think Wolverhampton Wanderers, obviously losing their manager and everything else, are probably going to need a little bit of time to settle in. But to be honest, I can't see anything else other than a Leicester win there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I go myself. I go 2-0 Leicester. Owen, Leicester Wolves?
Yeah, Leicester win. They're looking really strong. As you broke the news to me just before we came on air, Dave, that Vestergaard is apparently going to Leicester. Very solid defender, and they're so smart. Their recruitment, Patson Daka, wonderful player. Iheanacho as well. I mean, he was fabulous from about December onwards. So I think, they're great going forward. They've got good midfielders. Leicester City, definitely.
Easily the best front three on paper, certainly out of the top 4 next season, to be honest with you. So,
They've a lovely side. No, listen, they have a lovely squad. They're a well-run team. They're nice to watch, and I think they'll do well again this season. And Vestergaard looks like he's coming in because your man Fofana got injured. He had a bad broke his leg in a pre-season, so I think that's why they're going for him. Jack, what do you think? Leicester all day?
Yeah, they've been up and ready already. It was shocking what happened to Fofana. Horrible tackle. But yeah, if they have another season like they have in the last 2 seasons, I don't think the Leicester fans will be happy. But yeah, I go with Leicester 2-0. But it's great to see Raul Jimenez back from that horrific injury. That it's remarkable that how quick he's come back, but detriment to obviously the medical staff at Wolves. But yeah, go with 2-0 Leicester.
Yeah, we're going to skip through these. Obviously, Liverpool, Norwich we'll spend time on, but Chelsea, who are playing at the moment in the Super Cup, I think they're 1-0 up against Villarreal still. Chelsea and Palace, so it's like a London derby, 3:00 on Saturday. Chelsea could be tired from tonight, but I think Chelsea beat Palace. What do you think, Keith? Chelsea, Palace?
They don't have too far to travel, really, is it? It's just across from Belfast, to be honest with you. So it's not as if it's a massive trip away from that game. And the games are coming thick and fast now, just open for pre-season. So to be honest with you, I think it's not going to have any impact on them. So I'd be amazed if they don't come away with 3 points in that game, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Owen, you in the same vein? Chelsea at home against Palace?
Oh, definitely. I'm just trying to have a look at who Palace have brought in, because of course they had about 10 players who left last season at the end of their contract, and they spent the biggest signing they've got. They've brought in our 2 centre backs, Mark Guehi, who's from the Chelsea under-23, and they paid 23 million euros for him, apparently. And Joachim Andersen, a centre-back, Danish centre-back from Lyon, 17 million euros. So, maybe that's good for them. But I've got no idea. I can't tell you anything about who's going to line up for Crystal Palace this year, apart from Wilf. So I don't know. But whoever they put out, Chelsea's going to win.
Should win. Yeah, Jack, Chelsea.
Yeah, all day. Patrick Vieira, I think he's going to take Crystal Palace down. I know they got rid of Borden Roy, but I think he's done well to keep them in the Prem. Solidified them as a classic Premier League side over the last couple of years. But Vieira had a shocking record in League One. I think. Chelsea, high scorer, 3-0, I think.
And our old friends, our second favourite team, Everton at Goodison Park. Rafa Benitez, first league game against Southampton, who I said would struggle actually this season. That's going to be a struggling game, that one. What do you think, Keith? Everton, Southampton.
Feels like a draw to me. Feels like a 0-0 draw, maybe a score draw. It doesn't jump out at you, does it? Everton, Southampton.
On
paper, it's probably the worst looking fixture of the weekend, really, isn't it? Listen, I'd love to see Rafa do well. I will always wish Rafa well, to be honest with you, even with Everton. But it just looks like a drab 0-0 draw to me. So
okay, we'll drab on to Owen. Is it drab or nab? Owen.
It's definitely drab. It's as drab as a grey Dublin day.
Hey, no need for that.
Sorry, I mean, you're talking about the game, right? I'm talking about how the game will be drab as a grey Dublin day. I'm sticking by that.
There's no such thing as a drab Dublin day.
Climate change. It's like York.
A drab Dublin sky. Am I allowed to criticise the sky?
Well, I'm just going to allow you.
Okay. I went for a walk after dinner, and I was listening to Football Daily, BBC Football Daily, and they've got a show just about Everton, and they interviewed Seamus Coleman, of course, as the captain. He spent 12 years there, and he's just signed a new deal. And it's interesting, they asked him, what do you want from the season? He was like, well, ideally, we would like to push for European places, but really, I just want to see professionalism from my team. And I was like, my God, I'm happy I'm not an Everton fan. It must be awful. Like, the best your captain is hoping for is that everyone turns up for training. It's absolutely it's
lovely.
It's hilarious.
If we don't get arrested, it's a bonus. That kind of thing, is it? So
here, but Benitez is a taskmaster, so they're gonna have to work cut out. You know what I mean? They'll have to clock in. You know the clock in cards. You have to clock in and training.
Absolutely.
But so what do you think of the game itself? A drab draw? You think it's fairly drab? Because you said drab.
It'll be drab, but I think they're going to edge it. 1-0. It'll go in off Richarlison's fucking knee or something like that.
Jack, there's your job gone. Okay, Jack.
Danny Ings leaving Vestergaard on the way out. I think Southampton's looking very, very sorry in times for them. But Agent Rafa hopefully does the business this season, gets sacked, and then gets them relegated. That'd be lovely. But I think
that would be a lovely end to his Liverpool career, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It will take literally a week until the whole stadium gets on his back, mate. Listening to all my mates go on about them, they're so fuming.
It's a hiding to nothing, an absolute hiding to nothing, isn't it?
A couple of them have threw the season tickets in. And I know that's quite drastic, but it's the animosity half of the stadium will have for them, and it's results business. And Goodison's not the best place to
get results.
Get results and play your football when the crowd is on your back. So I've got to. It just be the most Everton thing to do is get beat against Southampton, considering the players in which they'll be missing. But a draw.
A draw. I'll go 1-1. I'll go 1-1 there. There's another great game. This is a beautiful game. Burnley Brighton. Can Brighton brighten up your Saturday, Keith? Brighton at home, Turf Moor.
Who's at home? Burnley.
Burnley Brighton. Yeah.
Brighton without Ben White.
Yeah.
It's Burnley. I'd go for a Burnley scabby fucking long ball.
Scabby long ball.
Scabby long ball in off somebody's arse.
Chris Woods.
89th minute goal mouth scrambled. Burnley 1-0.
Okay.
Enough
said about that game. Owen, what do you think? Burnley Brighton. Keep it nice and brisk.
1-1.
That's brisk.
1-0 to Sean Dyche to the 94th minute winner.
John Dyche, we'll have to win this game. He's absolutely so. We're going to leave the Liverpool Norwich game, even though it's next up on the fixture thing here, to last because we'll spend time with that. Newcastle West Ham, 2:00 on Sunday. What do you think of Newcastle? West Ham had a great season last year. Will they continue it under Moisey? Keith?
Yeah, I'd kind of expect them now to kick on. I think Newcastle annually kind of pretty much they start off pretty slow, to be honest with you. They seem to always be slow starters. I'd fancy West Ham to get a result there. It's in St. James, is it?
Yeah, Newcastle, West Ham, yeah.
Yeah, I still fancy West Ham to maybe get something out of that game, to be honest with you. Maybe a 2-1.
Okay, West Ham to win. Owen, Newcastle, West Ham.
I'd love to watch. I mean, I can't wait to watch Sam Maxima play again because he's a beauty to watch, isn't he? He's wonderful, twinkle-toed marvel. And Callum Wilson as well, very underrated striker, brilliant striker.
Yeah.
So I can see Newcastle scoring a goal, but I think West Ham will get one more. So 2-1 West Ham.
2-1 West Ham. Jackie boy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting now. West Ham fare this season, and they haven't really done big transfers. The squads, especially if you get a couple of injuries like we had last year. Similar to like the Burnley game, it's not going to be like an amazing football, like two counter-attacking sides, really. Yeah, Newcastle got the ability to score goals, but that same game as Park, you'd back them with the Geordies back in the stadium. So yeah, Newcastle 2-1.
Yeah, I back the Geordies at home with that crowd. Eamon Kelly's going 1-1.
We're split down the middle.
What?
We're split down the middle on that one.
Before we come to the famous Norwich Liverpool, of course, which we're all going to talk about, this is an interesting one. Tottenham against Manchester City. Now, this is the 4:30 Sunday game. This is all eyes on what City, of course, the champions. They've got Grealish with his lovely hairstyle, and it looks like they might get Kane, even though it's gone a bit cold. What do you think, Keith? Spurs, I think, are going to have a long season, aren't they? Surely, if they can hold on to Kane or not, I don't know what they're going to do.
They're still unsettled, though. They're still unsettled going into the new season, in my opinion. I think they're going to struggle. Yeah. I think they're going to struggle. Probably in this first block of games, the first 3 games, I can see them struggling and maybe taking a bit of time to find their feet, to be honest with you. I think it's in terms of City playing, one of the top 6 sides, away from home is probably the best team for them to play, away from home as an opener. So, and I think they'll turn them over. Good record, Spurs against City generally, to be honest with you. More often than not, they get something in the game. But I expect anyone going for the league this season, and when I say anybody going for the league, I've really only got 3 teams in mind, and I would expect the 3 teams to hit this small block of games pretty hard up until the international break. So, from my perspective, I think City are going to win. I'm going to win on Sunday.
Connor's saying 3-1 to City, and Eamon's going 3-1 to City. So, Owen, City to win?
I'm going to go 4-0 to City, maybe 5. I think Tottenham are absolute. I mean, Keith mentioned the big 6. I mean, you would include Tottenham and Arsenal in the big 6, but neither of those are going to finish in the top 6 in the Premier League this season. I think because I think both of them are in mid-table trouble. I think 5-0. I think City won't really have a test until they play Leicester on September the 11th, and then they're playing Southampton, no worries. But then they're playing Chelsea away and then Liverpool away. Wow. So things will get tasty as we move towards the end of September for Man City, but they'll beat the opening 3. They'll beat Tottenham, they'll beat Norwich, and they'll beat Arsenal, and people will rave about them, and they'll say how unstoppable they are, but then they will be stopped by the end of September.
But you have to remember, they had a slow start last season. Everybody was writing them off, and then they came strong, didn't they? They came really strong.
I was one of them. Hold my hands up. I completely wrote them off, but this season's going to be different. I think it's going to be the opposite. They're going to start strong and they're going to tail away.
Lovely. Jack, City to beat Spurs, surely?
I'm going to go against the grain. I know he's all saying. I think if Harry Kane's been training, it would make it quite funny if he started and he scored a goal past Manchester City and he put in a cheeky, 120, 30 million pound bidding. No, nothing to do with it, but I think Son up front, I've watched City, especially the back end of the season, and how hungry they will be. It'd be interesting, obviously, when we won the league, the season after they won it, the hunger wasn't there. If they've got the bite back this year, do they want to regain their title? I know the serial winners in Everton, really, but I think they'll have their eyes on the Champions League yet again. And for me, I think they'll struggle this season. I think, but I'm going to go Spurs 2-1. With Son scoring and possibly Kane if he does play, but if not, Son with both
All right,
goals.
wow, they're going against the grain there. Spurs to win. Myself, Jack, and Owen are saying. Sorry, myself, Keith, and Owen are saying City to win, and quite easily. Now, the last game we have to talk about, of course, is probably the most important game for us. It's Norwich Liverpool 5:30 kickoff. A lovely time in kickoff, I think, for Liverpool on Saturday at Carrow Road. Newly promoted as champions, Norwich. I think this is going to be a tough game. This isn't going to be a walkover in front of the Norwich crowd with Delia. What's her name? Is it Delia Smith? Is her name? She'd be out cooking cookies at half time. This won't be easy. And I'm going to go for a Liverpool win. I'm going to go 2-0, but I don't think it'll be, we won't get our own way. Keith, what do you think? Norwich, Liverpool?
No, I've just been very impressed with us pre-season, to be honest with you, and particularly as we've gone through pre-season. I think we should be. I think we should be too strong. We look hungry. The press is definitely back, to be honest with you. There's a huge amount of hunger there. There's a lot of leaders back on the pitch. Well, listen, it does depend on who he picks. We might go through that. We might go through that in a few minutes in terms of what we think the starting lineup is going to be. But I don't think Norwich will be used to playing, a hungry Liverpool. I think they're going to face a hungry Liverpool, and I don't think they're going to be able to stick with us, to be honest with you. They might start well for the first 15 minutes or so, but I think if we can maintain our level of intensity and hunger and close them down and get that turnover, I think we'll be too strong. We look like we've got goals in us, and we should be a bit more solid at the back, to be honest with you. So all indications off the back of how we've done in pre-season, just looking at individuals in terms of how they're approaching games would lead me to believe that we're in good shape. And if we're in good shape, we should be too much for Norwich.
Oh, absolutely. We're the better team. It's just, as you say, it's keep away from home, first 10, 15 minutes are always keep the crowd quiet. Wasn't that the famous saying, Liverpool? Keep the home fans quiet, catch them on the break. The good thing is they'll attack us. I don't think they'll sit back, which will probably suit us on. What do you think? And we might catch them on the counter.
If they attack us, yes, we'll make mincemeat out of them, and then Delia can flip them as burgers at the end of the match. But no, I think it's very valid what Keith was saying there. Very, very valid. I think we are definitely stronger than them on paper. But what's in Norwich's favour is that they will be probably riled that no one thinks that they can win. That's one thing. Another big thing is the fact that the crowd couldn't really celebrate their championship win. So they'll be really up for it, the crowd. And thirdly is that, apparently, according to the journalist that I spoke to on Cop On podcast, the latest episode, who covers Norwich, he's the official, the chief Norwich City writer for their local sort of Liverpool Echo equivalent.
He's the James Pearce of Norwich, is he? Something like that. Indeed.
Oh, yeah. And his name's Dave Freezer, which I completely love. And a joke I made earlier is that he's always the coolest. He's always the coolest guy in the room.
No. Lucky I wasn't talking to him. Go on.
Excellent. He was saying that they've learned from their naivete, if you want to use the French pronunciation, of a couple of years ago, and they are going to be a bit more solid, and they're not going to take so many risks. But then they've signed loads of new players. We should beat them. If they attack us, we'll kill them. Liverpool are looking good, but yes, I'm with you, Dave. I think it'd be a little bit more difficult than we would like. But I'd take a 2-1 Liverpool. Jota to get the winner from the bench.
Beautiful. Jackie boy?
Yeah, ready and raring to go, mate. I can't wait. It's going to be interesting, as the lads already said, and everyone in the comment section below. Getting an early goal will be so pivotal, especially against the newly promoted sides. They're not going to, as we see when they come into the Premier League. I think we played them first game of the season, wasn't it? When they come up. We got a cheeky own goal by Grant Hanley or whatever his name is. But yeah, positive vibes. You got Minamino being good, Costas, will he play left back? I think he will. Will Harvey Elliott play, which we'll discuss in a bit? But there's so many positives, and Bobby getting 2 goals in the friendly, so all looking good, positive. I'm going to go 4-0 Liverpool, I think.
Whoa. To me, it's just all about the points. Just get the points. Points mean prizes, as I always say. Daz TV, we need to stay hungry, aggressive, and just go at them. We lacked that at parts of last season, but new season now, I fancy us to win 2-0. I said 2-0 earlier. I'd take any type of win, to be fair. But I mean, we've had such a, as Keith we said earlier, we had a really, really good pre-season. The lads looked fresh. I seen them in their badminton competition, which Salah won. I don't know whether you've seen that. In Evian, I think it was. But they've had a good pre-season. They all look fresh, ready to go. I think Curtis Jones is over the weekend. I think he has a concussion or something like that.
Yeah, concussion.
But everybody other than Robbo has an injury, and hopefully Robbo won't be too long. It doesn't look too serious. But other than that, we're ready to rock and roll. I think we'll put the first 3 games, as we say, with Norwich away, Burnley at Anfield, Chelsea at Anfield the next 2 weeks. And I think we're raring to go, guys. There was other rumours today. I don't know whether you've seen him. We'll talk about Doku in a minute. But Shaqiri looks like he's at the door, leaving. 8 million, I think, to Lyon. That is a snip for such a small man. Keith, what do you think? 8 million.
It's all we paid for him, really. So it's not like us. We normally flip them with a profit.
Yeah.
We paid for him. It was about 8 million, wasn't it? I think back in...
I think it was 13.
Was it?
12 or 13, I think. Yeah.
Was that euros? Was that euros or pounds?
I'm not sure.
Dollars.
That was pre-Brexit, I think, as well.
In BAT. We paid 8 million BAT. So, so listen, to be honest with you, I think at this stage of the season, if we do need to do business, we need to shift out, to be honest with you. And I don't think we can even register unless we shift out some of the foreign lads, to be honest with you, or we've to put them out on loan, or we've to not register some of the lads that are already there. And if you register the lads that are already there, don't register them, right? Just in order to sign somebody else, you're going to absolutely, demolish their resale value. So we're kind of at a stage now where, it's probably, stuck between a rock and a hard place. And we probably do need to get a couple of those players out, to be honest with you. And whatever we can get in for them, we can get in for them. I don't think it's necessarily a bad return, to be honest with you, in the current market. He's generally, in my opinion, flashes to deceive with us, to be honest with you. Had a pretty good Euros, scored a goal or two, did he? And did generally well, which he normally does for his national team. But I haven't seen him do it at a club level for a long time, to be honest with you.
Other than the semi-final, probably against Barca. It was a showboat game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We'll remember him for that.
He scored a couple against United, so absolutely fantastic. Thanks very much for your service and best of luck for the rest of your career. You get 8 million back in, we get 8 million back in. I wouldn't have any.
Plus, if he ever retires from football, he'll have a chance of driving that little car on the pitch to give the ball out. I thought you'd like that, Owen. Shaqiri, flattered to deceive, or... he hadn't played enough. He just hasn't played enough football, has he?
I think with rhythm, he could be a really good footballer, but I totally agree with Keith. He hasn't done it for Liverpool. 8 goals and 9 assists in his entire Liverpool career in all competitions, which isn't very much. I mean, he was often off the bench, or he was injured, or, he never had a particular run in the team because he just was almost like the almost guy, nearly good enough, but a few glaring weaknesses in his game, as well as his incredible strengths. I remember, of course, the cross for Gini's header in Barcelona. I remember as well the free kick he took for Divock Origi's winner at Newcastle when we won 3-2.
So do I remember that. Took me top off.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that was unbelievable. I was
his overhead kick. Don't forget his overhead kick on his debut.
And his overhead kick against Manchester United in the friendly, of course.
In the States, in the States.
And he just seems like a really good guy, and a guy who's always been professional. He's never been any trouble, has he, for someone who's been a perennial substitute. And he's tried his best. It hasn't worked out. But what's interesting to me about the market itself is that, Liverpool seem to be a little bit desperate to offload players so we can bring players in. And I wonder how many other clubs around Europe can we take advantage of who are
exactly? I was thinking the exact same thing. Yeah, 100% agree with you. And I think we are playing the long game. We're absolutely playing the long game, to be honest with you. And we're happy enough to take lads in tail end where I think the club sees the value. But when we look at it, we're kind of 2.5 weeks away from that. So I do think we need to shift off, to be honest with you, a couple of players and open up a couple of spaces. So, I think Shaq will go, and then
Phillips, I think will go. I think Phillips
if there's something on the table for Origi, it'll be like, okay, you can take it. If you don't take it, well, then you're probably going to have to play in the reserves because we need to open up a space or something along those lines. So I think the next decent offer comes in for one of the other guys. I think they might go as well to open up for 2 spaces. And I can't see us sign any more than 1, possibly 2, to be honest with you. And I think we need it, to be honest with you. I think we need at least 1, Keith. If not necessarily for the season, because there's arguments for and against in terms of whether we actually need players, to be honest with you, and will they actually play if we're all fit. But I think we need to start looking at the age profile of the players that we have, the rebuild in terms of youth players who will be good enough in 2 or 3 years when those lads push on. I think needs to start now, to be honest with you, because they're getting on. A lot of them are getting on.
I seen a thing Klopp was talking about today, and he was saying that the squad was too big. I don't know whether you've seen that, Jack, that the squad was too big, and that meant that he wanted to cull maybe 2 or 3 more players, the likes of Phillips, Origi and Shaqiri. And maybe only then, if they go, can he bring in 1 or 2? So what do you think, the Shaq's legacy?
Yeah, you've still got Karius to add to that mix as well. I think everyone just forgets.
Karius,
I know.
I try forget.
Yeah, no, but he's a model professional. I felt everyone knows the story of Karius, but I watched him in the warm-ups for the last 2 games at Anfield, and he has been involved, but obviously he didn't get any action. More or less been doing the goalkeeping coach's job anyway. But yeah, Shaqiri, we're 13 million if it meant us winning the league and the Champions League. That cross for Genius, the lads have already mentioned. Liverpool playing a long game is very important. The lads have already alluded to there. Liverpool identifying Harvey Elliott's development. And for me, if you looked at Elliott to really progress in the next 12, 13 years, I'd much rather have a 18-year-old Harvey Elliott in the team, developing, learning off the likes of Mane, Salah, Jotas of this world as well on a daily basis than Shaqiri. No doubt in Shaqiri's quality, and he does offer a lot of experience, but he'll go to Ligue 1 and probably be one of their best players in that league, because I think he very much will tear it up. And I think he's one of Liverpool's biggest earners, really. I think he's on 70 to 100 grand.
He's 80 grand a week.
Yeah, so that's still quite a lot. And considering Liverpool have really increased their wages on recent new deals, and obviously potential Van Dijk and a couple of other lads getting new deals. So, yeah, it makes sense for me. Getting Elliott more opportunities, moving on Shaqiri. Yeah. He's done what he got brought in to do, and all the best to him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We wish him well wherever he goes. It looks like Leon, but we shall see. And we'll get his car parking space back. Well, it's quite small, but he'll probably be able to do something with it. So, they're the boys out. Who do we bring in? I seen something today about Jeremy Doku, the Belgian guy. I don't know. Do you know much about him, Keith? Do you, Doku? Belgium.
To be honest with you, just in terms of what I saw in the World Cup, and I was generally impressed with him, to be honest with you. He does really looks like a player with the right degree of coaching. He's got everything, right? He would remind me of a raw-ish Mane coming into the side. And I think with the right coaching, I think he could be world class, to be honest with you. But I've given up guessing in terms of who we might or might not be bringing in, to be honest with you. I actually enjoy the fact that, you know, I haven't got a Scooby-Doo who we're going to bring in, to be honest with you. And we'll probably all be surprised when we do actually bring in players. But if it is him, I'd be delighted, to be honest with you. I don't think he's anywhere near the finished article. I think he's quite raw. I think he needs a good degree of coaching. I don't think he's going to walk into the side. I think we might even see him for 3 or 4 months, to be honest with you, because he looks to me like a player needs a lot of coaching. And as we know, you know, we're very rigid, I suppose, in terms of what the players do at Liverpool. So midfield up front, you know, in terms of the systems we play, you know, there's not a huge amount of versatility. It's quite rigid, very effective, don't get me wrong, but it is a lot of rigidity there, I suppose. So if it is him, I'd be saying, yeah, fine, but I wouldn't expect him to hit the ground running. I think it'd probably be a few months now before we'd see him actually playing, and then it could be 6 months, maybe even next season, before we see the best of him. That would be my opinion.
No, I seen Twitter goes into meltdown anytime you mention anything with a player linked to Liverpool. Owen, are you a Fleetwood Mac Rumours LP owner with all these rumours flying around? Are you sort of, you know, do you go with the Doku or the Sal Niguez or do you just say, listen, it's raw rubbish?
Well, I like to leave up to the experts. At the same time, I am sort of obsessed with checking all the news and checking all the rumors and seeing what's flying around, and then doing my own little, scouting reports on them. And Jeremy Doku is someone who I would probably avoid. I mean, I really like Keith's summary there and someone said on Twitter they called him a project player, and I think. That's a very good summary for it, because he's not ready. If you look at his stats, right, he had 2,313 minutes, which works out to 25.7 matches or 90 minutes. And he's got 2 goals and 3 assists in Ligue 1. And it's not good enough for Liverpool. It's the bottom line stats. On the other hand, he's only just turned 19. Yeah. He's a kid. He's got tons of talent, but people were, losing their mind over him when they watched him in the Euros, weren't they? They were saying, "Oh, we got to sign Doku," it's the old thing. You can't judge a player on an international tournament. You just can't.
Yeah,
you've got to look a little bit deeper than that. And I don't. Yeah, he's definitely not ready. So I would prefer someone like Dan Juma. This is a rumor I could get excited about.
Who? The Bournemouth guy.
From Bournemouth, yeah. I mean,
it's
a canny one. 15 goals and 7 assists, something like that in the Championship. He's only 23 or 24.
Very pacey. Yeah.
Very pacey, very tricky. And when you think about it, he'll be 5th choice attacker, and he will know, whoever we get in, will know that they're coming in as 5th choice attacker, unless it's Mbappe. And then, it's I think someone like Dan Juma, around the 15 goal for last season in any league, really, is someone good. I always look at the bottom line statistics, goals and assists for attackers.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and Doku doesn't float my boat; he sinks.
It's the same reason why you wouldn't go for Coleman. To be honest with you, again, he's the exact same. He plays he plays for Bayern Munich. He's got some titles, but his underlying stats are quite poor in terms of his goals and assists. So
absolutely,
there's not a huge amount out there that would get you really excited, whether it's in central midfield or up front. To be honest with you, in my opinion, in the market in terms of what's available. So we could be looking towards a couple of project players at this stage, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing when you look at the age profile of where our players are at, so to invest a little bit now, maybe in project players, mightn't be the worst thing in the world, to be honest with you, because if the 3 boys say fit with Jota, it's hard to even see anybody breaking that mold if it works well. It's the same thing with central midfield. Like who do we bring in that's going to really shake up that midfield, and really push for a place, to be honest with you? It's difficult to highlight and pick anybody unless you're looking at a project player who's effectively going to come in as an understudy, learn his craft under these guys, and then step into the breach as and when he's required to do that. It's an interesting one, It's an interesting.
If you get a project player, though, you should get one that scores a lot of goals, even if it's someone who plays for the under 23 league, and they're like some Chelsea player who will never get in the first team, and spend 10 million on him is more than
I agree.
Than any other.
Yeah, there's a good thing. One here, a comment from Amy Kelly. Klopp with the players away for a month together looked to me like he was satisfied with what he has going forward the new season. I think he's been hamstrung by FSG, to be honest. Well, I really do think if Klopp wants a player badly, I think if he asks FSG, I think he gets it, guys. I really do. Other than maybe Messi or Mbappe or one of these ridiculous players, but I just think he does. And we all know Klopp likes a tight group. He likes a controlled group, all the players getting on. He doesn't like any disruptors in there. They'll be out on loan if they do. We all know what happened. Sacco, you know what I mean? Coming in on interviews behind him, making all funny faces. You're gone. So, he likes a tight group. So I can't see anything like that. But Jack, so go on, Keith.
Sorry, I'm just saying, but project rebuild has to start either this window or the next window for definite, right? So you look at all the age profiles. We have to start looking at some sort of a rebuild strategy around the team. And, if we leave it too much later than that, it's not going to be finished by Klopp if Klopp moves on, to be honest with you. He's not going to be around to finalise that rebuild. So, and is he going to be around for a second team? So I just think there's a lot of questions out there in terms of what we're going to do next, to be honest with you. But I do think, we have to start looking at it now. Otherwise, we're going to be left in a situation like where you look at where United are a couple of years ago, or Chelsea have been for a couple of years ago, you know, we haven't done a succession strategy effectively, right? For certainly for across the spine, really, outside of Alisson, centre mid, centre back, and up front. You know, the spine needs some strategizing, I suppose, in terms of what we're going to put in there. And I think we need to start that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we're tying down all our elite spine, as you said. We're tying them down to long contracts. I just see Crucial DJK, who's Dave Courish, by the way. And that is the guy, my mate from Liverpool, who has the Hendo mural on his back wall, that famous Henderson mural. He was on with Anfield Rap recently. Davey boy, hopefully you are well, my friend. What a mural that is. He has his back wall.
Beautiful mural.
Oh, wow. So what do you think, guys? Do you think we just sit in a club? We won't bring anybody. I think it's crucial who leaves. If 2 or 3 leave, I think someone comes in. If maybe even just Shaq leaves, I don't know whether even anybody's going to come in.
It's the thing with Dave, innit? We've just been speaking about the goal output of Doku, really. I trust, and I think all of us do, and everyone around the world trust Jurgen Klopp. If there's one manager in the whole of Europe, he's not like a Pep Guardiola who throws 60, 100-odd million pound at players. He's more about developing players, and as Keith was alluding to, and before, in terms of the younger, bringing the age profile down. If you go, say, another 2 years, Salah and Mane are a bit more older down the line, and the rest of Europe's analysing Liverpool's squad and going, they're eventually going to replace the squad. And we've spoken about Harvey Elliott. He is probably going to be the replacement for Mohamed Salah, whether he plays through the middle or in the midfield, Harvey Elliott, or down the right-hand side. But Doku, he excites me. I know the lads have already mentioned his goal output, but he's a player that Jurgen Klopp can very much take under the wing and really, if you
mould.
Yeah, and one thing is the pace aspect as well. When you look at Liverpool's squad, if you take Salah and Mane out of the squad, there's not really anyone with really blistering pace other than possibly a Jota. I don't think he's that quick, really. And he's Doku's probably one of the quickest players in the whole of Europe, and in terms of his age bracket. I think it was the Lens game. I watched him last week, and it was a 1-1 draw, or even in the Euros as well. He picked up the ball, and he's got that raw potential. Sometimes his dribbling is not the best, but for the young lad at 19, he's got so much raw potential, and Jurgen Klopp could potentially be that man to untap all that potential anyway.
No better man, no better club to tap the potential. Our players are just coming past their peak. Keith is right. We need to start some sort of rebuild for the future. Listen, it's always important to rebuild. We're tying down all our players. The likes of Trent, Fabinho, Ali. I think the likes of Salah and Van Dijk are the next two. We just got to get tied down. The likes of Mane, Robbo. And Henderson. Henderson still hasn't been tied down, guys. And neither will even Firmino get tied down. I think there's question marks there. What do you think, Keith?
I think Henderson looks to be happy, to be honest with you. I just think there's probably just a couple of last few details to be ironed out with that. And he's a club captain ultimately, to be honest with you. So I don't think as a club you can pretty much understand. Listen, the only thing really would be is if Henderson himself is kind of saying, right, you know, I've got a really big one last twist at this, right? And I know my agent has done some work in the background, and I know PSG are going to come in with a huge amount, or somebody else in Europe is going to come in with a huge amount, and that this is of interest. And I think if that's the case, and the club will clearly turn around and say, well, Jordan, we can't pay you that amount of money, to be honest with you, from a new contract perspective, and we're not going to pay you that amount of money. So if it's the case that you have an opportunity to go and get a last contract and make a huge amount of money, well, then we will just manage it in terms of the information, and it'll be managed the same way the way Ginny was managed, how it was managed out, and he'll be managed out of the club, and he'll go and he'll get all the fanfare and all the accolades that he deserves, and he'll go on to somewhere else. If he wants to stay and finish out his career, well, then he'll have to sit down and negotiate what that is. So, and I think that's probably what's kind of knocking around in the background, to be honest with you. He probably only has one more big contract left in him. He needs to make a decision on whether or not what's on the table from Liverpool is happy enough to do that, or whether or not he thinks he can make a huge amount of money by going somewhere else. And if somebody else is interested in him, he'll know he can go to somewhere else and make a huge amount of money. And for anything I said for Ginny, you'll say fair fucks to him. Sorry, Jack. You know, you'll say good luck, mate. You know, you'll say good luck and all the best and thank you for your service. And no issue with that. I think that's probably could be wrong. He could be just like, it could be just something really small and simple. And he's happy enough to spend the next 2 or 3 years because he loves it here. That could also be the same, you know. But
yeah,
probably one or the other.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm not too worried, to be honest with you. If he's not going anywhere this summer, to be honest with you, he'll run out at the end of his contract. Either way, I think we'll get 110% from him. He'll be a total professional. So I'm not really concerned about it, to be honest with you. If he does go at the end of his contract, we still get 110% out of him, to be honest with you, and then we wish him all the best.
Yeah, absolutely. But Owen, what do you think, Hendo? I think he's 2 years left. Has he 23? I think he's 2 years. He's 31, and he can get to 33 if he doesn't sign a new contract. I think it's something like that. What do you think? I think it's important for him to stay around the Liverpool. Do you? For his actually legacy and everything, I think it's important not to walk away now. I'd be all about money then, you know.
Well, if he did walk away now, I mean, he's already got a legacy. I think. I don't think anyone would deny that he's a legend, the guy to lift the Premier League trophy, for the first time in 30 years and all that. But I think he's crucial to the club. I really do. And I think maybe he was the one that Klopp, I don't know, was referring to when Klopp was talking about how hard it is to sign players down to new deals. He did mention that in one interview yesterday or today or something. And yeah, Henderson, you can tell. I watched a documentary on LFC TV Go the other day about him. You can just tell how much he's sort of, intertwined in the fabric of the club and how everybody looks up to him and how everybody, the intensity and the never give up, never say die attitude. Okay, of course it comes from Klopp, but it also comes from Henderson as club captain. Him and Milner and Van Dijk, these players who just will not, tolerate anybody giving less than 110%. And we've already lost Gini, who's a huge influence. I can see, I spoke to someone who's very closely, actually 2 people, affiliated with PSG today. And they were talking about how brilliant Gini is in the dressing room, how he comes into training. He's a leader. He's smiling. He's positive. And, how they think that he's going to have a huge influence on the whole dressing room to bring everybody together. And so we can't afford to lose another character like that.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Jack, what do you think, Hendo?
Yeah, take him, as you alluded to, Dave, 33 years old. He's integral to Liverpool's plans in the next 2 to 3 years, and we need him to retire at the football club. He's been ups and downs through his Liverpool career, but he's one of the main reasons why Liverpool have been as successful as we have been. As long as we can talk about Salah, Mane, and the other lads up front, but he's been at the heart of really marshalling this midfield and the whole team. Jurgen Klopp probably wants him to sign and will offer him a bit more of a deal, but at the end of the day, it's not him that officially runs the football club. It's FSG that give out the contracts, and we've seen it. If he had an engine or he was built like James Milner, I think FSG would very much throw an extra 2 years at him, but given his extensive injuries to his knees and his body, really, the internally Liverpool medical staff must know a lot more than us fans. But they know everything about these players inside and out. But I'd love him to retire, but I don't think the club will, sadly, which it pains me to say, but I don't think they'll offer him. I hope they give him like an extra year, but I can't really envision it. And if Liverpool have the opportunity to recoup a bit of money that we've spent on him, you've got to look at it as the club financially, the way they look at it. I want him to stay, but it's what the club do.
Yeah. Well, we've no choice. We just have to go along with it anyway. I'd love him to stay. I absolutely would. As you say, even when he's not playing, he's important to the team. Even to have him in the dressing room or on the bench is important to the team. We're the 5 or 6 minutes, guys. We'll call it a day. That'll be the hour gone. Just before we go, Keith was showing me this today. The Champions League draw, which is coming soon. Of course, we're in the Champions League, by the way. We're in pot 2. Real Madrid, Barca, Juve, United, PSG, Liverpool, Sevilla, and Dortmund. What a pot!
We avoid all of them.
What a pot!
That might as well be pot 1 now.
You just see pot 2, and pot 1 is Chelsea, Bayern Munich, City, Atletico, Villarreal, Inter, Sporting, and Lille. Pot 2 is nearly better than pot 1. But at least we can't get City.
There's a glitch in the coefficient. Chelsea. There must be some sort of glitch in the coefficient because that's mental.
That is crazy. I mean, that is just wow. I mean, obviously we can't. It's a long way away before we do the draw and stuff there. But we can't get Chelsea. We can't get City. We can get the likes of Bayern, Atletico Madrid. Probably get them again. Villarreal, Inter, Sporting, or Lille. I'd like Lille actually.
Inter. Jesus, Inter won't even be to field the team. Fuck's sake. You just get walkovers.
There's something. I think the pot 1 was meant to be pot 2. I don't know what's going on with those pots, but I mean, I think they've been smoking pot, baby.
They're going potty.
But listen, the last 5 minutes, we'll just throw in one or two. There's a guy on here, Matty. I think he's a Flamengo fan from Brazil. He keeps talking about Liverpool getting beaten in the 1981 Club World Cup. He's been going on it the whole bloody show. Look, oh my God. Matthias.
Thanks for watching, Matthias.
Thanks for watching. Oh my God, Matthias, I love it. I absolutely love it. But guys, I think we leave it there. That was absolutely fantastic. Rory's in here. Great show, gents. When Firmino was rotated rest of the season, who was going through the centre? Just before we finish, he throws one in.
Jota, I think, possibly. We've seen him last year. Before he did get injured, he was scoring so many crucial goals. Ideally, you won. Minamino, we see him in pre-season. Will he be getting given a go? Harvey Elliott. But yeah, I very much agree, Rory. It's ideally your head saying Jota through the middle if we need be, rotating those two. But we're heavily relying on those forward 4 and the main 4 not getting injured, and it'd be very difficult to see that.
I think we'll have a 5th, to be honest with you, by the start. Certainly by the end of the month.
Yeah, definitely.
More options. It's all about options, guys. It's all about staying fit. Let's hope this team can stay fit. I think the spine of the club is there to have a really, really good season. I'm confident going into the season. I'm sure you two are. We're going to beat Norwich on Saturday. The podcasts are going to be coming out of our ears. We've all got podcasts. Owen's got stuff with Cop On podcast. I say you have a podcast every week now, Owen, the whole way through the whole season, don't you?
Yeah, try to at least one a week. And this season, I'm trying to contact loads of fans from other clubs, so hopefully we'll have some kind of view from the other side every week as well. But it'll be a regular thing going on. Thank you very much, Dave.
No, absolutely great having you, Owen. Jack Mack LFC, you're going to be lashing the podcast out, baby.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, Dave. I had Owen on before. Thank you very much for coming on. Absolute legends, and we'll get you and Keith on as well, Dave. Hopefully next week if he's a free. But thank you for having me on, Mason. Yeah,
best of luck, everybody. I know I'm kind of dragged in here now, and all I basically need to do is to stick on my laptop and and look pretty. But that comes natural to me, I suppose. But I know how much work you all kind of put into these things. So listen, have a great season, the three of you. Okay, and I look forward to chatting to you throughout the season. All right. Up the Reds, lads. Up the Reds.
That's it. Let's win on Saturday. I'll talk to you soon. Stay safe. Thanks for the comments, guys. Big season coming. Jump on the train. Join the Reds. You'll never know where it leads. You'll never walk alone.